Hey, how's it going, guys? Nate here, and it has been just over a year since Fallout 4 released, well over 5 since Skyrim, and God only knows how much time it's been since New Vegas and Fallout 3. And what I want to talk about today is a mistake that Fallout 4 made that I think The Elder Scrolls 6 should do its best to avoid. What? A mistake in Fallout? What could this be? You must be asking yourself with immense anticipation. Well, while Fallout 4 was no doubt a huge commercial success, I think it failed in securing that level of replayability that we see with most other Bethesda games, where 3, 4, 5 years later, the community still feels attached to the game and is growing strongly. Fallout 4, however, evidently didn't succeed in doing this. Just looking at the Steam player charts, you can see that the game's average player base rapidly declined at the start of 2016. Comparing that with Skyrim's player base, which you'll notice is much more boastful in overall player population and the fact that it hasn't seen such a sharp decline in recent years. Now, admittedly, these statistics are from Steam on the PC, and are obviously subject to a variety of variables that don't apply on the consoles, but I do think this does accurately represent the overall sentiment of the community regarding Fallout 4, in that from what I've seen, most people drop Fallout 4 after the first couple of months. It's not the kind of game like Skyrim or previous Fallout titles where 5 years later, we're still going to be playing it in such powerful numbers. There's a fundamental lack of replayability with Fallout 4, and I brought this up before, believe me. But previously, I chalked up the game's failure to have longevity to other things, like the dumbed-down dialogue system, the reworking of the skill tree, the lack of quests, etc. But after much more consideration, I'm not entirely convinced that these are the sole reasons why the game's population has declined so quickly, but I think I've found what is arguably the main reason, at least from what I've seen. If you look at how Fallout 4 approached its factions, the Brotherhood of Steel, the Minutemen, the Institute, Railroad, you'll find that that is where the vast majority of this game's quests and content were concentrated. And outside of these 4 factions, I believe there were only 9 side quests excluding DLC, which is not a lot by any means. Now, this isn't anything new. Skyrim had a very similar system. Dark Brotherhood, the Companions, the Thieves Guild, the Civil War sides, the Blades, which were the main story quest line. But the big difference here is that, unlike in Skyrim, all of Fallout 4's factional quests take part in the same storyline. The only difference is the perspective you are looking at it from. No matter if you side with the Brotherhood of Steel, the Railroad, or any other faction in the game, you are playing the same story, and you'll find that the quests you play are oftentimes remarkably similar, to the point in which the only real difference between some factional quests are the NPCs that you complete them with. Take one of the final quests in the game. It's called Nuclear Option. Now, by the way, spoiler alert ahead. In this quest, you storm the Institute and blow it up, and you play it through this same quest with every single faction but the Institute itself, and it plays the exact same way. You somehow breach the Institute, you kill a lot of synths, you kill Father, or just leave him to die to his own devices anyway, and you get a synth named Sean if you want him or not. And you'll find that no matter which faction you play with, the Railroad, the Brotherhood, the Minutemen, it's the same thing. And instances like this are sprinkled across all the quests throughout the main storyline. And this results in an obvious impending problem once you complete the game with a faction. Not only do you already know the outcome of the storyline and have a very clear idea of how the quests will play out regardless of what other faction you select, but you also need to create a completely new character or reload an old save after you've made so much progress if you want to get to experience the story through another faction's lens. It can get very discouraging and monotonous. After completing the game through my first run with the Brotherhood of Steel, I went back to try it again with the Railroad, and I constantly found myself asking, what the hell, Bethesda? I've already played through this quest before. This is, like, the exact same copy-paste thing I've done with the Brotherhood. And while ultimately I did actually kind of get to experience a different ending, it didn't really justify all that monotony and boredom. Whereas with Skyrim, where the majority of the game's quest content was still concentrated across various factions in the main quest line, the story arcs of all these factions were independent of one another. You didn't need to create an entirely new character to play through a different one, allowing you to keep your progress and get to experience a new plot line between factions, something that Fallout 4 notably did not allow you to do. So while personally, when playing through my first run, I did actually enjoy Fallout 4's main storyline more so than I did Skyrim's, at the end of the day, I find myself preferring Skyrim's entire system of factions decentralized from the main storyline. Because with Fallout 4, after I completed one faction, it was like, well, I guess I'm done. Everything else is essentially a copy and paste. Well, that was fun. But when you go over with Skyrim, after you beat that main storyline, there's like, oh, awesome, there's still 5 more factions for me to play through. And I think that's something that really contributed to that huge amount of longevity that Skyrim had, and one of the biggest advantages it has over Fallout 4. And it's something that I think the Elder Scrolls 6 should strive to achieve. And of course, there are other reasons for Fallout 4's seeming lack of replayability. I think this is arguably the biggest one in my opinion, and the one that the Elder Scrolls 6 needs to avoid at all costs. I love factions, I think they need to keep them in there, I just think they should be independent of the main storyline. You shouldn't have 5 factions bundled together playing through the same plot. Anyway guys, that is just my opinion. If you have a different one, that is why there's a comment section down below. Please feel free to leave it down there if you do. Thanks for watching everybody. If you enjoyed this video, please slap a like on it. If you dislike this video, leave a dislike, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Peace out everyone.